All right, so welcome everybody. This is a session zero for a Hero Systems 6th edition content Extinction Event that was written by, and I've got it in the back of the book, and I guess Carlos, you could probably help us that, but I'm reading it. The Extinction Event was created by Carlos Castaneda and how do I say Lazaro's name properly?
Yeah, Lazarus Aguirre.
Izagirre. Okay, and then
Yeah.
the book itself written by Michael Serbrook and Lazaro Izagirre, and I see Carlos's name every other thing. So we're really really lucky to have Carlos with us. But we also have some really cool players that are joining us for this that have played in the NCU universe for years, but are also really heavy hitters in the hero unofficial hero Discord. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. Most of these folks are GMs and run games, so for me, it's just a kind of a treat to have folks that are serious players get to play. So we're going to be playing the Extinction Event um, content that was created, and we're lucky to have good content. Um, and the conversation, as before we started recording, but the conversation was really which faction out of Extinction Event do we want to run as? And there are a handful of different factions. Um, there's a paladin faction. There is a outcast kind of. Um, Carlos described it as kind of the schmo that doesn't know where he got his powers, is on the run. Um, there is a Illuminati faction. I'm not doing a very good job of describing them, Carlos. If you want to say anything on this, I definitely would appreciate
I really want to take kind of like a back seat to all this because I
it.
I
Don't
don't I
roast.
don't want to influence everything, but basically the acolytes or they do work for the Illuminati, and the Illuminati basically the game is more based on intrigue and whether political or otherwise you infiltrate corporations or you infiltrate government and act on behalf of the Illuminati. And then the outcasts, as like you said, think 1980s kind of mutants where the government or and other factions, whether they're other secret societies or the government themselves, is trying to keep the advent of psychic ability secret, and various people want to either kill you or control you. And so outcasts are people that have been identified having these types of powers, and they're on the run. And there are enclaves of outcasts. There's groups that are forming in order to protect themselves. But it's kind of more of like a Running Man type of game where you are really persecuted and hunted. And you're usually the underdog against the people that want to kill you. And then Paladin is one of these organizations. You are working kind of for one of the for you're basically and this was kind of the original concept that started this whole thing was Navy SEALs with psionics. So you get sent all over the world, sometimes to capture other people, other gifted, sometimes to kill them, or sometimes your special operations against normal human beings, particularly warlords or things, going on around the world, basically to either capture, exterminate it, or stop someone from doing. So it's very mission oriented. Even though when I've ran it, there are some intrigues because the government's been infiltrated as well. So you can add that element to it. So there's my spiel.
No, it's cool. I'll read. So in the GM section, there's like a little intro paragraph. I won't read further than that because I don't want to reveal anything. But in the Acolyte campaign, it says it's similar to running an espionage campaign. In the Outcast, it's more of similar to popular television shows, comic books, and other media. Think Supernatural and X-Men. Includes a group of extraordinary people on the run from dangerous forces. They go off the grid. They establish safe havens. They, frequent meeting spots of other outcasts. And then, and if we do that, I'm totally going to use Outcast with a K's music. It's just going to happen. And then um, the Paladin campaign mode, combat missions, primary theme of Paladin-centric campaigns. These missions typically necessitate travel to exotic locations and confrontation with psychic dangers. So um, those are the kind of the three mains that are listed. I think we could do either one of them. The thrust that I'd like for us to consider, since all of you all have participated in the NCU at various different stages, is that this group of of individuals is, for whatever reason, trying to find. If y'all remember from the end of season 2, the key that allows access to the hollow. There's like an encryption key that in the lore leading up to season 3, that encryption key or code was lost to history, and um, it seems that that's kind of the genesis of level 37, where they somehow found it again. But it changes hands. It's almost like the Lost Ark, right? That changes hands so many times throughout history. Well, this encryption key is the key to getting into the hollow, which is really connected to vanishings and energy source and all kinds of kind of like under the surface storyline. And we've never explored that in game, and because we haven't explored it, it's rife with opportunity, right? And I think that could fit really well into any one of these. You could be a government group searching for the key. You could be an outcast group that kind of hinges their safety and security on finding it, and you could also be uh, the acolyte, right? Because there was even mention of in the lore of NCU season 3 that the key got into the hands of a religious group too. So that's kind of what I want to do with the game, where you're searching for this key, and that is the reason why you're doing whatever you're doing. I think that's a pretty big thrust. What do you all think?
That sounds good.
Yeah, is this? Did you say this was taking place just a little bit before season 3 started, or?
Yeah, so it's and I'm placing the kind of the blood sky moment in the middle of the Vanishing Wars. So it's probably 20, 30 years before, 20 years before season 3.
Okay, so the IERA has started slurping up,
That's right.
all the meta. Okay,
That's right.
because I was thinking about, well, we're going around trying to find this key, but then the IERA is attacking us for being unregistered or something.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
I kind of want to stick with the main villains and adversaries that are in EE, and
Sure.
maybe I could co-opt a lot of that as part of. Okay, though, some of those adversaries, or maybe even the Paladin group, becomes the predecessor for IRA, that kind of thing. Anyway, I feel comfortable fitting this into the history of our game world. I feel like it's just really cool. Okay, so let's settle on the campaign mode. Paladins have powers, but they're not as much power focused. It feels like they're more weapon focused with some slight powers.
Right.
Outcasts feel entirely power focused. And then acolytes.
I'm more like spies.
Yeah, but they have mental powers, it feels like.
They do, but they also, I would say they rely heavily on skills because a lot of the things that they do, and acolytes could go around blowing things up. I mean, outcasts can go around blowing things up with their minds. An acolyte tends to have powers that are more, um, you know, geared towards espionage and covert operations within, whether it's a corporation or something like that, right? Because so if we're trying to find information about this, we could, it definitely fits into acolytes, whether we're working for the Illuminati, kind of like raw EE, or whether there's another organization that we're working for, trying to find that out. It seems, based on what you are looking for, Silka, that's probably a good fit.
I think so too. This would fit kind of a.
Well,
go ahead.
It seems to me the way you've been running some of this stuff from level 37, it's more of a semi-religious, which sounds like it would be more like the acolyte.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. I thought it would be an Outcast session, but it or story, but it
But
totally fits Acolyte. Yeah.
Outcuts fits just as well, but then we might be independents looking for this information as part of an outcast group, and then we have other organizations that are trying to stop us. It fits either way, I think, but Acolyte, I think, if we're really directly working and being directed by an organization, looking for information, and there's that sort of espionage type of aspect, then probably Acolyte fits best.
Okay. Everybody agreed? Acolyte?
Sure.
I'm good.
Sounds
Okay.
interesting.
Okay. All right. So then I guess the next question is power level. Does the Extinction
600
Event...
points. Yeah.
Say again?
600 points. Yeah. We'll just be low level, right? Yeah.
Just low demigod level. I think the Extinction Event book does talk a bit about power level, because they have.
It does, and so typical. And again, you can change this because you can do whatever you want. But typically, characters start with 225 points with 50 points of complications, and then there's a concept introduced with as resource points.
Yep. Do you
Which
spend those
basically
resource points from the 225, or do you get them based on the?
you get them additionally, and it's kind of like if you're an acolyte, you get these points from the organization you're working from. As an outcast, you might, it's just we don't keep track of money, but so you use these resource points kind of to equip your characters from mission to mission, right? But once you're in that mission or in that session, or it could be as long as a campaign, if you don't go back to a base or whatever, that's the equipment you get, and they're basically just for equipment. So equipment points you can take from your resource, but if you have permanent equipment, then obviously you would buy them with PowerPoints. But it usually starts at 225, and I think it's from 75 to 90 points. I think that you get for CPs, and it also may vary from mission to mission. And there are limitations that you get, right? Because supposedly when you're starting out the campaign, you're pretty new with your power. So there are conditions, limitations, as you'd say, that are standard to all your psychic powers, which require you to activate your powers, right? They don't always work. But it all depends on how you want to do this, since it's based on, kind of previous events, whether we're already comfortable with our powers and you can get rid of some of that, of those limitations. But, so that's up to you and the group.
Yeah, and I see in part 3 of the EE book, character creation, there's an acolyte template. And that comes with some complications, which I think are just built for the
Part of the idea when we created this was that you could get a new player to basically use these templates to create their characters and create characters pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There is a degree of customization, but overall there's a lot of plug and play in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all experienced players, whether we want to follow this or not. It's, again, we don't have to, but it was there basically to give you templates that you could just plug and play in and create your characters with some degree of customization. But the goal was to take out some of the complexity of character creation from a regular Champions game.
Yeah. So when I look at that chapter, the character creation steps are pretty straightforward. You start with 225 character points and at least 50 character points of complications. Pick a style. We've chosen Acolyte. And welcome, Game Night. It's good to have you with us. We have described the book Extinction Event and put it in its kind of history spot just a couple, maybe 20 years before our current NCU Season 3. And we are talking through character creation right now.
I'm just supposed to be sneaking in the back. No one's supposed to notice.
Okay, so I take it all back.
So he's one of the Illuminati?
Yes. It's the first rule about the Illuminati. Don't ask about the Illuminati. So
Illuminati doesn't exist, actually.
Yeah.
It's rule number 1.
There you go. Oh gosh, I just broke it.
They disguise themselves as Fight Club.
So we've chosen Acolyte, then come up with a character concept, which is to each person. apply the gifted template. And when I see the gifted template, I'm looking for it. Where is the gifted template? Basic gifted template. There is strong-willed plus to OMCV and DMCV. Then plus 75 character points worth of psychic disciplines, which I guess you can choose that. And then you have a psychic power skill that's a 0 point. Now that whole template is 84 points. And then I assume that you get the complications as well. You have to take that as part, because that's part of the gifted template. You can choose a couple of things. Now, there are some options in the gifted template that are different packages that you can choose from. But then after that, determine the role in the team. Now, again, acolytes are, what did we say, espionage? So what is the... How are you feeling about different roles, team? Anybody want to be like a rigger? Anybody want to be like a listener? Anybody? Let's talk through some of those roles.
Well, is this kind of like Ocean's 11?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
getting all the rogues together for the heist, and someone's the demolitions expert, someone's the confidence man.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, actually, if you look at the acolyte template under options, there's a lot of those already set up as acolyte, assassin, confiscator. This is page 33. So we could pick roles from there, like special technology expert, saboteur, and so on.
That's cool. So it just kind of sets your skills. You just choose the one. Assassin. I get it. Okay, who wants to be the assassin? Let's just do it.
I'm already playing that character later.
What, Switchblade? Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of.
So who's the assassin?
Well, actually, do we have enough players here? 1, 2, 3. There are 7 roles here, and we are sitting with 5 in the channel players, plus 1 who couldn't make it today, right?
Yeah, so maybe we don't have to have an assassin. Anybody want to be a confiscator?
Yeah, so I guess it depends, Silkide, in kind of the types of missions that you're thinking. Are there going to be these types of kind of assassination, or is it more, what kind of flavor are you thinking?
Well, so again, the main thrust is trying to find the encryption key to the hollow, and that you could, you're searching for it in different buildings. You might even be trying to infiltrate, corporations who you think may have purchased it. Maybe you're following different purchases on the blockchain and just trying to find who might have it, and you're always just one step behind, that kind of thing. So,
Gotcha. I'll pick dibs on the last person to pick.
well played. So, I think there's room for an assassin. Who wants it?
What page is the assassin on?
Page 30.
On page 33.
Okay. And Game Night just asked what book we were referencing.
Oh,
It's the Extinction Event book, available on Hero Games or
Drive-through,
Drive-through.
both
Yeah.
places.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah, I went drive-through just because I wanted the hardback.
Yeah, I think Hero Games has the softback in stock now. And they probably have the cheapest book plus PDF deal, but no hardback. So, Sean, you going to be the assassin?
Sean's the assassin. That's awesome.
Well, is he, Sean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just like an assassin would say. Okay,
It sounds like you've accepted it.
Yeah. Who's the confiscator? This is a swiper, electronics, lockpicking, mechanics, security systems. Who wants to be that? Wants to be a deceiver.
Yeah, so there's a couple of so the confiscator, the hacker, and then you have a special technology expert that do have kind of computer programming and kind of electronics, I think, in common.
Yeah.
But then they have a couple of different types of skills that sort of specialize them a little more.
Yeah, like cryptography for the hacker versus systems operations for the expert.
Yes. And confiscator has mechanics.
Right.
And lockpicking.
There, if you're not looking at the book, there's an investigator who's the streetwise bureaucratics deduction. Then there's a saboteur who is kind of your stealth, concealment, demolitions, electronics.
Yeah. Carlos, do you mind if I copy paste that one table into our
No,
text
not at
chat?
all. Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me go ahead and do that real quick for everybody. See, that's we need to be in the EE general, I guess, is good.
Yeah.
So paste that. All right.
Also
So-
paste it right here.
Either or, there's like, I guess, was it the voice? Does the voice have a no? The
Mm-mm.
voice has an
Yeah.
open chat. Oh,
Does it?
yes. I'll drop it. I'll drop it over there too. I forgot we got these new voice channels that
Awesome.
have text too. And everyone's just pasting everywhere, so I'll just put it in all three places.
Just paste it in the event. Paste it in our open general channel. Why don't you? I'm kidding.
So again, these descriptions kind of control, the skills that you're getting, but then as a concept, you'll probably carry it on to the types of disciplines that you want to pick.
Let's see if we can make a decision on these.
Yeah. The other option is we could just look at the people in chat and just go from top to bottom, starting with Sean, asking him which one he wants.
There you go.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah, put people on the spot, and I'll be last.
All right, Sean.
Sean's already the assassin. I don't know what y'all are. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Thank you, 007.
So what was the question?
Which which specialty do you want to be? We're trying to wrap that
Yeah.
up.
The chart I just pasted into the 3 channels. Look over the chart and see which skill set you like.
So I choose between concealment, shadowing, stealth, or tracking?
No.
No.
Like, see where it says like acolyte, assassin, acolyte, confiscator? Pick a role, and the role gives you a bundle of skills.
Right. So I thought that I was the assassin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You were
Okay.
joking, so I couldn't tell. A little literal sometimes.
It was thrust upon him.
He's
Yeah.
easily confused.
And
All
then
That's okay. I'm gonna be like Ahmed from Jeff Dunham. I kill you.
Okay.
I kill you.
so
All right.
That would
Uh,
also be the saboteur.
GM Champion, what do you want to be?
Well, actually, speaking of the saboteur, this is not a lit stick of dynamite behind my back. So I'll take the saboteur.
This is not. Okay. Jerry, what would you like to be when you grow up?
Flip-flopping between saboteur and confiscator.
Well, Saboteur is taken, so now you're the confiscator.
Oh, GM.
Oh, you could have both. You could have two.
I'm
but
Never mind. All right. Yeah, I'll take confiscator then.
Okay, Carlos.
Completely missed.
Oh, Carlos called
it.
dibs on last. Let's
yeah,
say,
I'm last.
okay, 30 Bird, where do you want to be?
Well, I hadn't really planned on playing, but I'm interested now, so I'm gonna go with Deceiver.
Deceiver.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Can't bring Liliana in.
That's awesome. Okay, Jim, I don't want to leave you out. I know you're not in the room, you're in the back of the room, but are you interested in this?
I don't think I have time, but I am a fascinated spectator.
Okay, cool. Well, there's plenty of roles if you want to jump in ever.
Okay.
And then there's room for right block if he wants to pick one. And then Carlos, your last pick.
All right. So I will pick the Acolyte Special Technology Expert.
Special tech expert. Okay, so we have an assassin, a saboteur, a confiscator, a deceiver, and a tech expert. And then we'll likely have some more when right block joins in. Okay, cool. So this is exciting. The next would be after you know your team, then you all would pick your major psychic discipline. The psychic discipline powers are on page 43.
Oh, so can I mention something real quick, Selkind?
Yeah, of course.
So The reason why, if you look at the options, you have it's worth 0 CP, for example, is that when you look at the Acolyte template, everybody gets 12 CPs worth of skills. And so that package that you have is exactly 12 points. So that's why it has a 0 on it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't pick additional skills. You know, there's customization as we go along, but that's basically what that means.
I don't understand when you say 0 points. I didn't.
Yeah, so you see, if you look at that chart, you see where it says
Oh,
CP,
got it.
and you look at Acolyte Assassin, it says 0 points.
Got it.
That is because it's 12 points worth of skills.
And each one of them
And
is 12 points worth of skills. Got it.
All right, from
yeah,
the left-hand bottom on the same page.
yeah.
Because you get all that's right.
And if you want to post that GM champion, you can as well, the template, that way, so people know kind of what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Also, and Jason, back on page 31, there's a lot of pre-made psychic templates. Are we going freeform or picking from among the pre-made psychic templates for the powers?
Well, I was going to use the pick your major psychic discipline.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've read through all that. So basically, when you start out, you start with one major and up to 2 minor disciples, right? Or disciplines, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So your major, what the difference between is basically your discipline is your main group of powers, if you will, and then your other disciplines, and you don't have to pick them when you start the character, but you could use experience points later on to get up to 2 disciplines. The basic rule is your minor disciplines AP can never exceed half of your most powerful power in your primary discipline. So that's why you'll see in that options package that some of them will have um, 2 different disciplines, and some others will only have 1. And again, if you see them -1 CP or -8 CP, that's because everyone gets 75 CP worth of psychic disciplines. And so if you pick one that has a negative number, it's actually, less than 75, obviously.
So,
But you can always go freeform, right? This was designed just so that you could create your characters quickly, and start playing right away and take some of the complexity out of character building. But you can definitely go freeform and pick whatever you want.
well,
At least that's up to you, Selkite, but at least that's the way that it's written, right? You can pick anything if you want to.
well,
It's not a straitjacket.
the thing that I like about the disciplines is, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, you could really each person not just have their role on the team, but we wouldn't have 2 fireball throwers, right? You could have someone who's pyrokinesis, psychokinesis, psychic healing, mediumship, electrokinesis, and those are the main areas, right?
Well, if you look at page 41, it gives you all the various disciplines. There's
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 disciplines in total, and I think that we had about 101 or so powers in total.
And I like that. I like that we would have different people doing different, and there's lots of
abilities.
variability within those disciplines too, right? So,
Right.
to me, that's cool, unless it feels cramping by somebody else. I mean,
Also, page 31. If you look at the bottom right of page 31, which I put up it's the second from the bottom screenshot in EE General, there's like 9 or 10 packages there from pyrokinesis up to apportation. So if we wanted to keep things simple, people could just everyone pick a unique from the package. If we wanted to go complex, then as Carlos said, we could just pick whatever Silkite approves.
well,
Again, I will pick last.
so I'd like for folks maybe to choose their primary discipline and be unique in their primary discipline. So, and I don't know if you all are willing or ready to do that. but does everybody have that page? And do you mind if we paste that
It is pasted.
40?
EE General is where I've put all the screenshots. Because I think 31. Well, do you want the short one on 31 that has the pre-made packages and the plus or minus points, or do you want the 41 plus that has everything? Because I'll put that one down there too.
Yeah, you can put 41 up there too.
That's what I was looking for, is 41. Yeah, but I see what you mean, because, Aura reading package, it's got the names of it in there, but it's...
Yeah, because the bold headers are all in the. It's now the third image from the bottom.
What does that, and I think you may have said it while I was looking ahead, what does the -8 CP on Aura reading package mean?
Yeah.
Does that just
So
means...
right on. Yeah, what that means, everybody as part of your template, of your gifted template, gets 75 CP worth of psychic disciplines.
Mhm.
Right? So either you could spend all 75 points on your primary, or you could split them up between primary and minor. And so the minus means, so for example, the first package, apportation package, has a -1 on it.
Mhm.
That means that package is worth 74 points, right? 75 minus 1.
So do you
the
get an extra point to spend on your secondary?
Right, or you can use it in skills, or you can use it in attributes, right?
Got it.
Overall, it's basically, the template says 75 points, but depending on what you pick for powers, you may have, more or less points to spend somewhere else.
So Aura readers are pansies. I'm joking. I'm sorry.
They're new age people. They read what you feel, man.
They're hippies. They're hippies.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Speaking of hippies, I heard a good song, and it just is still stuck with me. I think it's the Bellamy Brothers. It's called "Old Hippies." Have y'all heard that song before? He's an old
No.
hippie. He doesn't know what to do. Should he hang on to the old, or claim, or something? Grab on to the new. Anyway, it's a good.
Now, one thing that I'll tell you about the aura readers, even though you think they're wimpy, part of people tend to be governments or agencies or other secret societies might use powers to try to detect people with powers. And one of the things that the aura reader is good at is kind of deflecting those abilities of other people trying to detect who you are. And they can also read auras, which basically detect, is someone hostile, is someone not, so it's kind of like, so if you read The Wheel of Time,
Mm-hmm.
there was a character in there, right, that could read people's, future or what was going to happen. That was kind of the idea behind the aura reader, is that they can sort of tell certain things about other people, as well as the ability to disguise, what their true psychic nature is.
That's cool. Does anybody have just a burning idea of just they are wanting to be X? Anything?
So I'm thinking that as part of my skill set, I might want the apportation package. Being able to get in to a place would be important to me.
That's cool. I agree. So you are...
I was thinking very, very much the same thing.
Haha, beat you to it.
Yeah.
Neener.
So we have an assassin that can appear and
Sneak.
dematerialize and phase. Sneak up.
Sneaks up on Jerry and goes, "I kill you."
I kill you. Okay. Anybody who's got the next burning thought, speak first so you don't lose it to Sean.
You mean I can get more than one?
Well, everybody gets a secondary too. 2 secondary disciplines, but I'm not going to still worry about secondaries.
If you want to, but in the beginning you're limited in points. So usually it depends what you pick. You may have one minor disciple, or maybe you just have your major, and then later on, as you pick up experience points, you'll start learning additional disciplines.
Is there in there anywhere where it's more of a description of like the confiscator, assassin, but some of those others? Is
In
there more of a
talking about
design?
the power descriptors or of the option packages?
Yeah, the option packages.
I don't see there's anything more except if you go into the powers themselves. Like if you went and looked at bilocation and multi-location package, there is a whole section. Well, no, you kind of have to go into the powers section, and then there's a parenthesis underneath every one of them, and then you just have to look at them. Like helping hand on page 51. This bilocation derivative allows the psychic to attack foes at range or instantly fetch small objects. Stretching. Does not cross intervening space. No
I like
non-combat. Requires a psychic power skill roll. Unified power. Bilocation and multi-location.
So I will tell you if you look at astral and mental projection, there are some skills in there, for example, that allows you to create a psychic bond. So if you have, for example, a mission with the assassin, you can communicate with other people in the team while you stay behind doing electronic stuff. So that could be an idea. There's also bilocation and multi-location. And that basically, as well as astral projection, there's things in there where you can, basically send your astral spirit to other places, which might be good from the standpoint of finding out information before you are able to try to crack into something. So, doing reconnaissance before breaking into a place by sending your astral form there could be one thing that could work well for a confiscator, I think.
that's true. I like that.
And then you can either take the package that's offered, or you can look through the powers and figure out which fits best for you from that perspective.
So, GM Champion, Saboteur, you got any?
Yeah, I want. Yeah, I would like the divination and psychometry package.
Blinding the mind's eye, circle of precognitive defense, clairsentience.
More importantly is precognition in there, because if I'm going to be the demolitions expert and it's the red wire, the blue wire, I might want extra information.
That's pretty good.
Always the blue pill. The blue pill.
Never cut the blue wire.
Clairsentience, sight group only. Precognition, 40 active points. Precognition only. Requires a second unified. That's cool. All right, so you are Div and Psych.
Yeah, and I have a text post above a lot of the images where I'm tracking everyone's role and whatever psi they picked.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the bilocation, multi-location.
Who said that?
It's Jerry.
Jerry.
Okay. Confiscators by location. Okay.
Okay, 30 Bird. Said you were curious.
Yes, aura reading it is.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
No, you're not allowed to bring in Liliana.
Yeah.
Come on.
I
was gonna
saw
go
that
for-
one. I saw that one coming. That and deceiver.
No, I was looking at divination and psychometry, but for someone who's a deceiver, being able to have the empathy power, psychic reading, false auras.
No, I'm going to eat my words every session on that, I'm sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. Those
And I think the aura reading, I think the points are low enough that you might want to choose a minor, or you can choose something else and then have the aura reading as a minor. But I guess as we're learning, you can probably tweak your character as you want. But yeah,
No.
But very useful skills, I think.
Well, I have the book as of 3 minutes ago now, so.
Yes. Carlos, the last decider.
I will pick electrokinesis.
Shocking.
Yep. Okay, so we've got
Like, yeah.
the first 5 steps. Customize your characteristic skills, perks, talents, powers with the remaining character points, which I think we can do on our own time. I don't think we have to do that right now. And that's really with the leftovers after your major psychic discipline. Now, I think the question for me is, you can start even at this level with a secondary discipline. It's just not going to be very powerful
Right.
at this point.
Or lots of activation rolls, that sort of thing, or a low activation roll on it, sort of thing.
Okay.
Like an 8 or less gives you a -2, right? So.
Yep. I think that's really it for me then. That we will, now that we've got roles, disciplines, thrust, looking for the encryption key. We're an acolyte group. I'll build more around that. I think honestly, if you all want to put time into building, there is a hero designer template available for purchase as well if you're interested in it. But you could also just read it straight out of the book and build them too. I mean, none of them are very complicated builds.
Right.
Yeah, the herogames.com, they have a good deal that gets you the softback, the PDF, and the hero designer files. You can also get the hero designer files on drive through. There is one character design thing. Carlos, can you talk a bit about how the resource points are, the cost of each weapon is modified based on whether it's within your theme or it's outside of your theme, that like it was like times one, some extra cost, right? If a weapon's
Right.
outside
Yeah.
of your theme.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, pretty much it's standard when you look at weapons, and it's been a while, so you put me on the spot.
Sorry,
When there are different levels, and let me look here real quick, and I'll tell you the
page
page.
38. Page 38 has it.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. But that's
So
cool. It's like,
basically,
yeah.
there are 3 levels of different weapons. There is let me look, actually, let me go to the equipment chapter here real quick.
It really looks like it encourages you to stay close to theme and group concept.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have street-level weapons, which are pretty much available to everyone. And then you have restricted, which we can use as acolytes, whether we're Illuminati or whatever, secret organization we're going to belong to, and Paladin. And then there are military weapons that are just straight for Paladin. And then there's advanced weapons that go with Paladin, but also with GM approval because they tend to be pretty powerful. And then you have weapons manufacturers. So depending on the manufacturer of your weapon, a pistol is not just a pistol, but certain manufacturers have certain advantages or are very good at doing certain things than others. But to go back to GM Champion's point, so right now I think everyone can use street level, and we can use and we can buy restricted weapons as well, without without incurring additional costs. But then I would say military and advanced weaponry would probably be based on GM approval, and then there would be some additional costs to that. Does that cover what you wanted me to cover, Jim?
In addition, page 38, they give an example there for like, let's say you made a ninja style character who's supposed to have swords and blades. So you pay resource points to get katana or whatever, and that's a +0 modifier. So if the katana costs you 20 points, you pay 20. But
Right.
then if you decide to carry a machine pistol, yeah, I pasted the correct part in the EE general there. A machine pistol maybe doesn't fit your overall concept, but it does fit your organization. So that's a +1/2 CP modifier, or 50%. Now that machine pistol, instead of costing you 20, costs you 30. And if something is just out of the blue, like maybe your organization doesn't use rocket launchers and you're a ninja, so you shouldn't, but you want one, well, now there's a +1 CP modifier. You're paying double. So when we look back at, we first think about where the acolytes, maybe we are just lacking the top tier of paladin weapons. So if you pick a paladin weapon, you're already at +1/2 for it doesn't
Right.
fit. The game master might nix it, but you're already, if you're allowed it, you're paying that 50% extra just for that. Then you have to look at your character type. For example, an assassin, probably we'd use almost any kind of weapon. So if I were GM, I wouldn't add the additional 50% for not fitting the character necessarily, right? But if my saboteur is carrying around a sniper rifle instead of pistols and grenades, you know, and the sniper rifle is paladin level, I'd be getting hit with both 50% for a total
Right.
double
Right.
cost for the sniper rifle. So just, look at who you're supposed to be. Is a deceiver really supposed to be the AR-15 blaster, or are they a
Yeah.
crack shot with a pistol and concealable weapons? So obviously up to Jason to whether to charge the 50% or not, but just keep in mind that's in there, that your cheapest weapons to buy with your resource points is like, what does James Bond carry? He almost always has the pistol of some kind. It might be a super pistol from Q, but that's just what he does. Pistols and concealable weapons because he's an assassin, for example. So we probably all need to talk individually with Jason as far as, here's what I was thinking. Are you going to 50% or double cost me on anything?
Sure.
And then we make appropriate choices.
Yeah, and just remember that resource points can change. What you're carrying can change from mission to mission, right? So depending on what we know, what we're going to do, you can always change what you're carrying. But that also obviously will impact, what you can carry based on whether it fits your role or not.
Well, and a cool thing
But
about go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, cool thing about resource points is those are additive to the character build, right? And I think that's just a unique that this is a really cool equipment setting, and so you get, no matter what your focus is, your power set is, you still get to experience some of the cool equipment and
Yeah, and
change
that's
it. Yeah,
the idea was kind of adding some video gamey rules to the system where you can customize your weapons depending on how you want it. And so weapons have different slots. And so there's a whole bunch of list of accessory equipment that you can add to weapons, so that a pistol is not just a pistol, right? A 9mm doesn't necessarily mean every 9mm is the same, but you can customize your weapons based on your preference, your need, or what have you, to add additional, whether it's a flashlight or a laser light, or you can turn your Glock into a submachine gun. So there's a slew of different adaptations to weapons to and that's what you're alluding it to basically specialize the use of your weapons, just like in real life that you would add different accessories to a weapon depending on a mission.
and like if I were to say the first session is going to take place in space, then that changes your whole focus, and you start to build. Like one of the first things is probably on 85, you would want a spacesuit, and so that's straight up 19 points, but it fits with the session concept, and I think that's something to be interesting just to even think about. Like, could you all as acolytes get your hands on spacesuits?
Yeah. Ultimately, that would be a because just because it's available doesn't just because it's in the book doesn't necessarily mean it might be available to us.
Yep.
Right. So yeah.
Well, and
there might be spacesuits in the space station, right? That we can use, and you can say nobody can get spacesuits at this point or whatever. I mean, it's all very flexible.
Well, and what I would like to do with all of that is, particularly because you all are acolytes, and so you're not going to have all of the military and advanced, you might even have to role play how you get that equipment before you can spend those resource points. But you might have a confiscator who does some offline role play, and the success of their offline role play, then if Jerry's successful at it, then yes, I'll allow it without penalty. Otherwise, you're going to have to spend up.
And we get to blame Jerry for not being successful.
You can do that no matter what.
Not as well. It's always my fault.
No, that's unless. What is the typical thing that happens to you that you get immobilized? Is that right?
Yeah, that was Ozark. Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much every scene you were immobilized. for the least
Yeah.
first 45 minutes of the session.
Yeah. By showing.
One thing to keep in mind with the activation skill, because it's based on your ego, that um, for every 10 points of your AP on the power that you're trying to use, you get a minus.
Yeah.
And so don't lose track of that, because obviously either a high ego or spending some points into your power ability is probably worthwhile. At least at first. And it's up to you, Silkhide, whether you say you can buy off that limitation at the start of the game if you have any enough points left, or whether it's something that we have to do as we progress after a certain point. But ultimately, just remember that you do get minuses on your activations depending on the AP of your power.
So I'd like this to live within similar kind of power levels too. I don't want to have these enormous 20 dice type of stuff. And that's, I think if we just say, hey, generally we live under the rule settings of NCU 3, and then with the major disciplines and the point costs, I think it's going to just naturally.
Yeah, and the book does mention that usually, particularly at the beginning, the power level of the game tends to be around 60 AP.
Yeah.
If you get more than that, then you're kind of way too powerful for the power level. Because most of a lot of the times you're not going to necessarily be fighting supervillains. You're going to be fighting regular folks.
Mm-hmm. So just everyone remember that. I don't know that we have to say, because generally that rule set works for that, except for the special ability. And I think what I'm just going to say is there's no special abilities because you all have main theme disciplines. So you're not going to be stepping on people's. The whole point of the special power in our NCU3's rule set was to avoid people stepping on each other. And I think that we've already done that with people choosing their own main discipline. So, okay. Anybody have any questions?
I might mention just combat roles. As long as we end up with a variety of things, like I was thinking being the explosives person, doing like shotgun and grenades and stuff. Hopefully, at least one person wants to be a long range expert or something. We should be able to handle a mix of situations whenever things go foobar.
Which, if it should be, just about every game, foobar.
Anybody want to just call out the long range expert? Say you're going to be it. It's okay if you don't want to. I'm just if somebody's. Just...
I do have a question. Like when you say that when we were looking at this, and I took the biolocation, and multi-location, and it had those listing behind it. Is that the major, or is just a specific single power the major and the others are the minors?
I think that's your major area of powers. You can choose from another area, but that's when the active point limits come in. So like if you
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can choose something from another, but the active points get limited to the max. And I bet you could explain that better.
Half the max.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's half. Yeah, but you can pick any power under bilocation and multi-location. All those are the powers within that discipline that you can use as part of your major discipline.
Without having the active point limitation being half.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to pick all the powers. You can pick one or two out of there, and as you get experience points, you can add additional powers.
Oh, okay. So we've got a major discipline. We don't have to. So my major discipline from now until when he dies is biolocation.
Right.
I appreciate that qualification that you added to.
So then possibly as a minor, he could pick up like the aura reading or
divination or anything. Yeah,
or
exactly.
Oh, okay. But those would not be
Right. The
it would
AP
be
of those
half the power.
powers, yeah, half
Okay.
of the most powerful of the highest AP in your main discipline.
Okay.
So it's truly a minor discipline.
Yeah.
Until you grow the major.
Right.
Right. So in the template up here, where is this suggesting all of those or choosing a couple from that?
Yeah, so that is a package. So you have all those powers.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and then the -2 means that all those powers and they're basically raw out of the book. So you'll look up our defense and it's already done. I mean, you'll look up by location and it's already done for you, right? You don't have to tweak it. The AP is already there. Everything's there. So all those powers together for bilocation and multi-location are worth 73 points.
Okay.
That's what the -2 is, because everybody gets 75. So
Right.
all those powers will give you, 73 CP is what you would spend it on that package.
So I could either straight take that or
Pick and
do
choose, yeah.
I can choose from angelic spirit down to restrained foe. Right.
Yes, correct.
Cool.
And again, and you could take one power, right, and spend the rest of your powers in your characteristics, for example, right? But so the options that are displayed there are basically just to help you create a character quickly. So
Right. Okay.
you can grab that, or you can customize it according to what you want within that bi-location and multi-location group of powers.
Okay. That's cool. Okay.
That's really cool.
That was clearing it up for me.
All right, good.
Let's see, Jason.
Oh, cool.
Jason?
Yes.
Quick question here. I suddenly started having come to my mind scenes from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. One of the main characters in their Mac, he uses a shotgun, and he would occasionally get into hitting people with it. And at one point, someone suggests, you should like put an axe blade on the end of that shotgun. Well, he was also the team engineer, so then he built the shotgun axe and had it for the last couple seasons of the show. So I was just wondering, Jason, if you're open to, since I'm the demolitions expert, maybe eventually modding a shotgun to also be a melee weapon like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. Everything that's fun is worthwhile.
Cool, thank you.
And the other thing I was thinking that all of this, it reminds me somewhat of Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Because you had, and periodically they'd pull somebody else in. I'm talking about the old one, not necessarily the one with Tom
Yeah.
Cruise.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Okay, so any other questions about character creation, concept, about anything? Okay, so a couple of things that I like about the kind of the platform that we play on is that we have beautiful scenes and beautiful games and just lots of fun there. I would like for all of us to really just make the best looking figurines and in such a way that we can do even effects for them. And I only say that I'm willing to help every person do that. I think there's several of us in the group, like Jerry and 30 Bird, and I don't know everybody else's skill set, so forgive me. But when you have your character concept, I would like to spend time finding a Unity-based figurine rather than a Hero Forge one, so that we can actually do a whole lot more with a fully rigged, well-designed figurine. But that does lose some of the agency that you all have to go make it in Hero Forge. And I don't know how willing Jerry is to help rig things, but I think it's harder. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would like to help everybody get there with well designed, well effects. Like somebody's got Crusader has electrokinesis. Just this morning, I recorded a little video with a character that had electricity steaming from his hands, and it's real electricity. It's really cool looking. I would like to offer that for this group so that when we do our scenes, they just look awesome. Is everybody okay with that?
Ooh, I put dibs on having the Aquaman concentric circles to show mental powers.
Oh, heck yeah. And pretty much everything is possible too. So with Unity, there's no limit to what we can do.
Yeah. Also, I would like to say, I don't know how difficult it is, but in my home campaign, eventually when we got down to 4 players, we asked around to see who knew a 5th, and we got one. And he was new to Hero, but bought into the 6C bundles when it came.
Yeah.
And then we did the Hero Forge minis, and then I was surprised. A couple months later, he apparently secretly knew enough about this rigging thing. He took his Hero Forge mini and rigged it enough to do some mild animation back and forth. And
Yep.
since he has a lightning character, shoot off the lightning things. So it's not impossible to mod a Hero Forge mini, but it sounds like, Jason, you're saying that people on Unity make much better rigging than just kit bashing it to Hero Forge.
I think that's true. Jerry does this enough. I think it's just used for purpose rather than forcing it on it. That's basically the way that I understand.
The other thing is you can look at a mini and instantly tell it's from Hero Forge, generally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still cartoony.
Yeah, and I don't have well, I guess I do kind of have a preference.
Designed for 3D printing.
Yes. Ours are hyper realistic. That's kind of what I like about what we can do with tabletop and the effects. This will look like a movie if we do it right. And that just is so cool to me.
And it's awesome that we can have the voiceover as we're doing our Ocean's 11 heist.
Yeah. 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 So, does that just cramp anybody's style that I'm going to kind of insert myself into helping people get their character figurines pulled together? Because if you just
Not at all.
That's cool, Jerry. I know you can do yours 30 as well. I know you all can do it by yourself. If you don't want me meddling, I'm fine. I don't.
Well, I may come to you for some basic bodies.
Yeah, there's some advanced stuff that I know I can't do. Well, I will enlist your aid.
And I've stupidly bought a lot of pre-made characters on Unity, and so we could just sort through my character library, and if there's just one you like, let's just use it, because I have so many that I have not used, that we could just go shopping, quote shopping.
Actually, from that perspective, whenever it's appropriate timing, schedule shopping for each of us or all of us or whatever. You can always screen share what you have, and I can just call out, I like number 337, and then you just go to town on that.
Yeah, and honestly, I can do a little bit of that. I've got time right now if anybody just wants to do it. But I feel
available.
I can also, let's probably stop the recording. Unless there's any other, I think we've previously agreed that we will play once a month on a Saturday morning. Is that what everybody's, or not a Saturday necessarily, but just like a weekend morning that suits us best kind of thing?
Well, I'll just
that works for me.
I have church on Sundays, so Saturday morning is the only morning I can do on weekends.
Okay, I could do a Sunday evening if that works for other people too, but I think we get limited.
Too. Yeah,
I know church is a important. Sean as well. I don't want to. Are you okay on Saturdays? Typically Saturday mornings, or no? I know you're muted right now because I think you're worth a customer. Yes. Was that yes or was that?
No, that was my son in the background.
But that said, I think we've all agreed weekends is going to be the thing. And
I'm driving at the moment, so I can't really. That's why I put it myself on mute. Saturday mornings can be a challenge for me.
Yes.
When do you finish up, Sean? By what time?
I'm usually back home around the 1 o'clock mark.
So 1
Mountain
o'clock
time.
Central? Mountain. 1 o'clock Mountain. Okay. So if we're doing 2-hour sessions, if we did 3 p.m. Mountain, that would be 5 p.m. Eastern for me. See, A couple Saturday nights a month at 6 p.m. Eastern is when I run my own campaign.
Mm-hmm.
What gets
So-
hard for me is I work graveyard Central Time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be mornings. I think Saturday mornings, and if we just can't pull Sean in, we'll probably do like a Sunday afternoon kind of a thing. If that's
I
okay.
can do Sunday evenings usually as well. So
Yeah, I have a gap. The kids' activity Sundays from 4 p.m. to 5 Eastern, so that'd be 2 to 3 Mountain. It's not far from here, so I'd be back by 3:15 Mountain or something like that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording. We can figure out our next when we do our next session. And it doesn't have to be weekends either. I was just thinking that was the best for everybody. But if we wanted to do a during the week evening kind of thing, I'm fine for that too. So let me stop the recording.